The limitations of the global theories. The globalists say that our conscious experiences are constrained by our capacity to attend to things. Experiences don't really occur outside of attention because they have to be represented in the PFC in order to be broadcasted globally to different functional modules in the brain. And PFC processing capacity is limited by attention, so consciousness is functionally very important. When information fails to enter the PFC, it remains unconscious and therefore unable to influence these global functions. Consciousness thus allows the different modules to coordinate with each other flexibly. In other words, it has some kind of executive control and organization. If the globalists are right, consciousness may be closely tied to rational thinking and intelligent behavior. That means that perhaps smaller animals that are not as intelligent as primates aren't even fully conscious. Or even primates, their PFC isn't quite as developed as ours. For example, their frontal polar region, APFC, may function rather differently than ours. So maybe even primates aren't exactly conscious in the same ways that we are. On this last point, individual global theorists may differ in their views. But what is clear is that conscious is a matter of having the right kind of cognitive architecture. Simply having neurons in the primary sensory cortices with the right kind of activity isn't enough for any subjective experience to occur. Many people find the globalist view plausible, but they often start out assuming that consciousness is about sophisticated behavior. Remember the issue of confounds. We're not talking here about whether a creature acts like it's conscious. We're not talking about being able to show goal-directed behavior versus being in a coma. What we are talking about are subjective experiences, like the painfulness of pain, the smell of roses, what it's like to see or hear. Do we really need to be cognitively sophisticated to enjoy these experiences? In a sense, it seems a bit weird to think that our experiences are no more than what we can attend to. I mean, we can only attend to so much. And when you attend to this video, as focused as you can be, your background experiences still don't fade away. You might not be able to make out their meaning, but there is something that it is like to see the background. It's not totally lacking in subjective experience. At least, that's what it seems like to you. And when it comes to subjective experiences, how it seems may be all that matters. And if the PFC is really for representing and broadcasting our conscious experiences, how come lesion effects seem so subtle? If this is really where the content of consciousness is, how come patients with PFC damage can often perform common visual tasks without showing any noticeable deficits? And fair enough that PFC lesions are complicated, but they do impair other tasks. And how do we account for unconscious behavior that seems quite sophisticated? Subliminal priming studies may have their limitations. The signal could just be too weak. But what about studies in blind sight patients? And what about the amazing power of decoded neurofeedback? All of that happens unconsciously, yet they seem to influence us a fair bit. And remember, some of these studies are quite new, and more may be yet to come. Are globalists willing to bet that decoded neurofeedback won't reveal more powerful manipulations of higher cognitive behavior, all taking place unconsciously? Once again, try putting yourself in their shoes. If you're a globalist, how would you respond to these questions? Would you have an easier time defending the localist position instead? I suggest that you really go for this exercise. Try your very best to defend the localist position and then defend the globalist position. And then let's say you have to choose between the two of them. Either you become a localist or a globalist. If there's no third option, which one would you choose?